Well, good morning, gents. Yeah, thank you for saying good morning. And sun's coming up. The days are getting a bit longer. It's nice to be able to arrive someplace for a meeting and not be in the dark.
It's warmer.
It is. It is warmer. Yeah. Boy, yesterday was really nice.
Last 2 weeks
Oh,
ago.
yeah, yeah. Well, we're here. We're going to continue our journey, one man's journey. However, there's a caveat today. We're going to look at one of Jacob's sons and his some snapshots of his journey. And I think you'll really enjoy this today. But just by way of review, we're on snapshot number 5 out of the life of Jacob. Although again, as I said, it's we're going to be looking at Judah today. And the story of Judah, well, actually, there are several stories about Judah, and we're just going to hit some high spots. But notice here, we are down here. I know you, again, like I've said this 100 times, you can't read this, but know that once the yellow gets to here, we'll be done. So we're way over 3/4 of the way through. I mean, we're coming into the home stretch. Our flaps are down, Jeff. You know, we're coming in. We got final approach here. But who knows how?
We're not quite full flaps yet.
No, we're not. You know, we're making the turn.
There's a Greek paradox, and Archimedes' paradox is something that says every time you get half the distance to the end, so you never really arrive. You're always going near.
Well, that may happen here. I don't know. We're going to be looking at one verse this morning, 46:28. And where we're at in the story is Jacob's being reunited with his son Joseph, which is a beautiful story. But it lends itself to break it up in a few pieces because it's such a powerful story. So this is the first piece of that in Genesis 46:28. Here is the text. Now he, from the New American Standard is this text. I put in parentheses Jacob. Hey, look at there, I can do that. I have a laser pointer, but Jacob sent Judah. Jacob sent Judah before him to Joseph. Okay, so they're leaving Beersheba, and Jacob now instructs his son, his fourth son. There was Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and then Judah. From their mother is Leah. He's the fourth son, Judah. Didn't send Reuben. Why do you think? I'm just curious. Why wouldn't, firstborn, especially in the Hebrew culture, firstborn has the leadership mantle for the family. What do you think, Bill?
Reuben, the one that's left with his concubine.
Yeah.
Who is a disgrace?
Well, Doesn't look like he ever recovered. It's for some reason Judah is chosen. Also, although we're going to see Judah has a very colorful past as well, and that's what the power of this story of Judah is. So Jacob sends Judah before him to Joseph to point out the way. He gives him a leadership mantle to point the way to Goshen. Now, Goshen is a district in Lower Nile. And we're going to look at, actually have a map here. And they came into the land of Goshen. Okay. I mean, you've probably all seen the movie Moses, right? With, what's Charlton Heston, yeah. Okay, it kind of dates us, yeah.
Mike, if you go back to when they threw Joseph in the well, many of the brothers were planning on killing Joseph. And Judah intervened and said, let's sell him and I'll lay hands on him, because he was trying to keep Joseph alive. So of all the brothers, he seemed to have, let's not get into this like this.
That's a great point. And actually we're going to look at that text as we look at, I picked 4 or 5 instances in Judah's life. But you're right, you've dialed right into where what really captures my interest in this. So here is our buggy, and Dick, thank you for your words this morning about my little cartooning here. Jacob's second journey, and the theme of this is that when life should allow us a break, and we should just retire and do crossword puzzles and walk the dog and go out and know where all of the early bird specials are for meals. Jacob is called to another major journey in life, and it's his second journey, and that's what we've been talking about. So Jacob's second journey, and notice he's in the wagon that his son Joseph has provided, but he's not in charge. He doesn't have the reins. He's being pulled along. He's being carried along. And I might note he's 130 years old. Now, this picture here is where this is all taking place. And I'm going to pop out of the presentation for a minute so I can... Okay, they're starting over here, Beersheba, right there. Here's Jerusalem. And Carl, you're going to be there, and you're going to be there in a few weeks. You're going to go down to Beersheba, I would hope.
Yes.
The place of the 7 wells.
Okay.
And anyway, and as you look south from Beersheba, you're going to say, wow, it is really stark out there. From here south. And so they ended up south, and of course this is called the Negev Desert here. And then it moves into the Sinai Desert here. And they then are moving across this area, hopefully they're kind of hugging the coast a little bit. I'm not sure exactly where the route is, but it seems like it would be the coastal route here. And they come into the land of Goshen over here. And as we zoom back down, this is what's called lower Egypt. I've got another map I'll show you in a minute. But notice here, this is the Nile River. And this is called the Nile Delta. It fans out, and of course it's watered plain, making this area perfect for pasturing animals. And of course that's what these folks did. And so Goshen is the perfect place for them to go to be able to pasture their animals. Jacob is near the modern city of Cairo, which was the ancient city. Not exactly Cairo is not Ramses, but it's in the area of. This is approximately where Joseph would be. Near where the Delta fans is where Cairo is, and Ramses is nearby. And of course there's probably various archaeological views on it and just some discrepancies, but just for sake of our discussion here, let's just say Jacob is in this area, Goshen is here, so he's fairly nearby. He's got a country to operate, but his family is going to be nearby. So moving on, here's another map, and this is a much simpler map. And of course they're going to be coming across here, a wilderness of, this is Sinai, and here's the Delta. You can see the outline of the various rivers here, or channels of the Nile would be a better way to say it. And Cairo would be right in this area. Ramses would be here, and that's where they're headed. So that gives you a, good, kind of a good overview of where we're headed here. And moving on, I'm going to change this. So, snapshot 5. I've called this study this time, calling it the day the lion roared. And now, why do you suppose we're talking about Judah? Why would I make this connection?
It's one of the names of the Lord, is the Lion of Judah.
Yeah, the Lion of Judah. The symbol for the tribe of Judah was a lion. A lion. And Jesus was known as the Lion of Judah. So a lion roars. And so this we're going to look at this, and the culmination of Judah's story is the lion roaring. Judah roaring. And so number one in Judah's story is exactly what Bill had told us just a few minutes ago. Bill, can you see that to read it from there?
Yeah, it's pretty
Go
good.
ahead and read it.
And Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is it for us to kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come and let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him, for he is our brother and our own flesh." And his brothers listened to him.
Okay, so there's the snapshot. They were trying to figure out what to do. They were young men. They were jealous because Joseph had the coat of many colors, and Joseph was the one of two sons of the favorite wife, Rachel. He was the older. His younger brother comes later. His name is Benjamin. And so here these boys or young men are trying to figure out what to do. Now, Bill, what sets Judah apart here? I know you hit that before, but let's explore that a little bit. How would you differentiate Judah's offering proposal to what was being proposed?
Well, clearly he said, "Let's not lay our hands on him." That was what was being proposed. It's killing.
It's killing.
And I can't remember the verses. Somewhere in there, he had intended to come out and set him free. I mean, he wasn't just being the least of the bad decisions here. He had an intention of, he was trying to protect Joseph.
Yeah, and so as we fast forward, what outcome did this proposal have on the history of the world? On the history of this family?
Huge.
Think about the ramifications of this.
Well, I think a couple things, but one, of course, is the survival of the family, but he's going to be rewarded for this. He's going to be the bloodline through which, the Lion tribe will
There you go.
become Jesus. And this is going to be his reward, if you will.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Because he's not the oldest.
Right. Right, and I don't think that the bloodline through Judah is a happenstance. I can't buy that. There's got to be a correlation there. Jeff?
I was just going to say, if he doesn't do this, and they have their way and Joseph is killed, God still has Israel as his people and they survive.
Yeah.
But the route of flight that they take could have been much different. We would not necessarily have seen the power of God manifested through the plagues and
Yeah.
everything that he did
Yeah.
to bring his children, Israel, out of
Yeah.
bondage.
Exactly.
It would have happened. It might have been just a much different story that we were telling.
Like, for instance, Genesis 37:26. What would Genesis 38 look like? And there would be without Joseph in Egypt, there would be no Exodus. There'd be no Deuteronomy. What are the five? Exodus, Leviticus. There'd be. Well, we don't know. There'd probably be. But we're just having some fun with it. This young man proposed a different approach. Now, I think it's ironic. He says, well, he's our flesh and blood. If he's our flesh and blood, why didn't he take it a step further and protect, go to his brother's defense? He wasn't there, but he had some degree of moral understanding and a backbone. He had some degree there. Would you guys buy that? Yes, Dick.
Just to inject a little humor into this, I was just thinking maybe Judah is just quite this entrepreneur, and he saw a way to make some money out of the transaction, and so it's just humor.
Yeah. Well, yes. I think there's a lot of conjecture in this room going on, but hey, Bob. So this is the first thing: is that what we want to see Judah as a young man standing up to some degree. It's mixed. he's not willing to put his foot forward and said, stop it. This is crazy. And taking a leadership role to turn the ship in another direction. But he was standing up for his brother. He proposed an alternative here. So that's where we'll leave that. And that's step one, Judah's proposal. Now later in life, fast forwarding, Genesis 38, is Judah's sin. And could somebody, before we read it, the Judah's sin is that he's now a grown man. He had some sons that were not, they were not noble men at all. In fact, two of them, it says, and the Lord slew them. Slayed them or slew them. I'm not sure the right English verbiage or wording there. But what happened was one of the daughter-in-laws, widowed daughter-in-laws, was named Tamar. And she went to her father-in-law and said, would you give me a husband, Sheila, and so I can have children. And Judah refused her, and so she created this whole this whole plan where she, Tamar, dressed up like a prostitute and sought Judah out. And of course, then he wanted to have a sexual relationship with this prostitute, did so, impregnated her, and he thought, and she became pregnant, had the baby. And then this text right here is when the proverbial what hits the fan. And so would somebody read that verse 26? Could somebody read that?
Judah recognized them and said, she is more righteous than I, inasmuch as I did not give her to my son Sheila. And he did not have relations with her again. Okay,
so this, to say the least, this was extremely embarrassing, humbling. Look what our dad did. Oh my goodness. But how does he respond? And let's talk about that. How would you describe his response here? I mean, he did something very, very embarrassing. Very embarrassing.
She turned up pregnant, and then she presented his staff and some other personal items of his.
Yeah, she recognized them. Yeah, yeah.
She pulled all this stuff out.
Okay, but how does he, once he's confronted, okay, this is where I want to go. Once he's confronted with the truth, with the items, Carl, how does he respond? How would you describe this response?
I think he was remorseful. He said, I'm
I'm guilty. Yeah. Okay, do we agree with that? He fessed up.
Yeah.
He, I think of David's confrontation with Nathan, where Nathan says, "Thou art the man." And David immediately humbled himself and confessed it, facing the music. What are the issues that we face as we are confronted with the truth, guys? Think of a time when you were in a corner and the music is playing. What is the temptation? What is the feeling that goes on inside of us as men as we're faced with the music?
Defensive.
Defensive. What was that? What was that? Describe that.
You put the dukes up. I mean, somebody's accusing you of something, or natural responses to
Right.
kind of fight back or say, I didn't do that, and then our next response is, well, this is why, and we make an excuse.
Yeah. We make an excuse. Okay, defensiveness, and then find something else to blame. Denial, yes. What's that?
Scapegoating.
Scapegoating, yeah, we're talking now. How prevalent is this with us men? Like, could we say slam dunk? Is anyone not guilty in this room? No show of hands for those on video. Okay, we understand that. We know what it's like. I'll do anything but fess up. So when we look at this man at this stage in life, he's a father and a grandfather at this stage. How embarrassing, how humbling, how shameful is this act that he did? Put yourself in his shoes or sandals. You know, if you had a knock at your door, guys, you had a knock at your door, and there was a woman that was your age, and you vaguely recognized her, and she's got a child with her that's now at our age would be a grown, and she says to you, "Are you Michael Hadorf?" And I said, "Yes, I'm Michael Hadorf. How can I help you?" "My name is so-and-so, Rose Fitzgerald, and I break out in a cold sweat because one night Rose and I were together during those college days, and through the modern ability now to Google a search, I want you to meet your daughter." Oh my good golly. Can you guys, does that send the fear of God in you? Yes.
And I think on top of that, he had previously condemned her to death.
Yeah.
And he said she's pregnant. Well, that's deserving of
Yeah.
death. And this is other. It's not just he did this is embarrassing. All of a sudden, his sentence is going to come back to him.
Yeah. 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 Yes, Jeff.
Getting back to the reaction that we just talked about, what most men have, I just went to the movie Fences, and if you haven't seen it,
Oh, that's a good movie.
I would recommend it, because he finds himself, Fences.
Yeah, tell us about it.
He finds himself in a similar situation where he's married, he has an affair, this gal gets pregnant, and now he's telling his wife about it, and he blames her. I mean, I was floored at his response to what he had done. It was like, you know, you didn't give me all I needed, I'm a man, I needed to get,
Yeah.
you know, all this. I was like, wow. Yeah, so, it's not the feel-good movie of the year, but I would recommend seeing it just to see, you know, kind of the depravity of man and how
Yeah.
wrong we can get in our thinking. It really gets the gears grinding.
When I saw it, I could understand why he did that. I mean, again, it's the natural. It's our default mode as men. Outside of having something bigger, that's what we can expect. Yeah. Okay, well, there's two. And then later on, now this is in the story of the first trip to Egypt, because there was famine in the land and they needed food, and they heard down in Egypt there was plenty of grain. Why? Because brother Joseph had a dream and had affected the economy, and they had stored 7 years of plenty, and now in the time of the famine there's plenty of food for everybody, which is an amazing story. But now the brothers are sent by dad, Jacob, and Joseph recognizes them, and he hides himself from his brothers and holds Simeon. I think it's Simeon as hostage, and wants because he wants to see his brother Benjamin. You know, he's what is Joseph doing here? Amazing question. But now they come back, they have their bags full, and now they're out of food again. And there's been a previous proposal to go back and Jacob said, "No way, I'm not giving up Benjamin." Joseph wanted them to bring Benjamin. Says, no way, I'm not giving up my youngest son. And but now, later on, in a different context, Judah now proposes a second time. And this is when he proposes, and I've got Judah takes responsibility. Judah said to his father Israel, "Send the lad," that's Benjamin, "with me, and I will arise and go, that we may live and not die. We as well as you and our little ones. I myself," look at that wording there, "I myself will be surety." I'll put myself as a surety for him. You may hold me responsible for him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame before you forever. And then he puts a dig in. Little dig, verse 10. "For if we hadn't delayed, surely by now we could have done this, 2 times. We could have done this 2 times." So he takes responsibility for the youngest son, Benjamin. What does this tell you about this guy? We've looked at the first proposal, the coming to grips, the facing of the music, and now taking responsibility. What do we see happening in this man's life? Maturing. Stepping up. This is what we expect men to do. We expect men, and I think the culture expects men to, what you say, take responsibility. That's part of what a man looks like, taking responsibility, stepping up, taking the place, taking the leadership, proposing in this case a solution. And we call that stepping up. It's a wonderful picture. He's putting himself on the line. What degree of risk do you think is here? And if you were in Judah's sandals at this time, what would be the things going on in your head?
If I don't succeed,
Yeah.
I'm dead or my kids are dead.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yes.
I've often wondered why they stuck this story of Judah and Tamar here between these chapters. I think I'm getting a little insight.
Tell us. Yeah.
Well, when you go back to what Judah said, I'll get him out of the pit. Actually, Reuben was in that picture. A little earlier, Reuben said, "Don't kill him, put him in a pit." And if that's, he said, "I will come back later and get him out." So I was mistaken, Judah. It was Reuben was the first one stepped up to do that. And if you look over here where Judah says, just prior to that, Reuben says, "I'll go down there and you can kill my kids if I go." So both Reuben and Judah are making the same ploy. They're both taking on the same roles of nobility.
Good. Yeah.
But Jacob chooses Judah, not Reuben. So Reuben's being noble too.
Yeah. But it's
There's
interesting.
something-
Why Judah's proposal accepted and not Reuben? That's a great.
Well, I think somehow the story of Tamar in here was put to illuminate that.
Maybe the
Somehow-
confession piece of it.
Yeah, the Jacob saw something in Judah being confronted and yielding that he trusted him more than Reuben. Maybe that's why I said that. I don't know.
I think that's a great idea. I think that very well could be the case because we don't see the same thing happening in Reuben's life. Of course, it's an argument from silence,
Right.
but I see that where he fessed up is a major turning point in his life and in any man's life. When we can bottom out and be embarrassed to that degree of shame and take responsibility, that is a huge. It's a step down, but it's a step up.
Because otherwise, him and Reuben are on parallel paths here.
Yeah.
They're both noble.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Really good input. Thank you, Bill. And so we're going to wrap up. Okay, we've looked at three segments in Judah's life. We're going to finish this up next week because there's a large amount of text that I want to read because it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story. And the end result. But what we're going to look at next week is what I'm calling the Come to Joseph meeting. You know, it's kind of a play on words, the Come to Jesus meeting. And it all is going to, it's all going to hit the fan when Judah and the rest of the brothers, with Benjamin present, come to Joseph. And next week, we're going to look at that beautiful scene where that all happens. And I don't want to tell you much more, but we're going to look at that next week, and then we'll wrap this story. We're going to watch the lion roar next week. So, alrighty, thanks for coming.